The majority of succulents have evolved in open spaces where not many tall, shade-providing plants grow. From this piece of information alone, we could conclude that succulents need sun rather than shade. But unfortunately, it is not as easy as that. The word succulent is used for tens of thousands of plants that can be very different in the way they look and grow. Their needs can also be very dissimilar. On top of that, because of their popularity, succulents often find themselves miles away from home in completely different climates. And I've not even touched upon the many hybrids that have been developed by crossbreeding, altering the plant's needs and growth habit. It's impossible to definitively state that all succulents prefer sun or shade, but we can narrow it down based on the climate, seasons, and succulent type. I'll also discuss whether it's possible to find a middle ground that all succulents would tolerate. But first, let's have a look at how sun and shade can be different indoors and outdoors. Many of us love growing succulents indoors, but the truth is the majority of succulents are not great indoor plants. In my experience, most people kill succulents when they keep them inside. Whenever I have a conversation with customers and they say their succulents have died, my first question is, were they kept indoors or outdoors? 90% of the time the answer is indoors. While there are shade-tolerant succulents such as Ripsalis or Haworthia, even they will not grow indoors as well as they would grow outdoors and will likely stretch and turn towards the light. The light indoors is simply of lesser quality, and many sun-loving succulents like Echeveria, for instance, will struggle and are likely to eventually die. You may be able to grow them if you have a sunroom or a large long sunny window that gets at least 4 hours of sun. Though sometimes this will not be enough either. The light will also decrease in quality the further away you go from windows. Now, outdoors is a different story, and many sun lovers will grow relatively well in a shaded spot or filtered light. They may stretch out a bit, grow wider leaves and not get much color, but they should grow fairly well as long as the shade is not too dark. If they are completely covered by low-growing shrubs, for example, that may be a bit too much. So, shade outdoors will be tolerated more than shade indoors. Similarly, sun indoors will not be as good as outdoors. In my part of the world, many succulents, even the sun lovers, would cook alive during our hot summers if they were left out in full sun every day. The UV is much stronger here in Australia than the rest of the world, and the sun just hits different. It's not unusual for shade temperatures to go over 40 degrees Celsius or 104 Fahrenheit. For those of you in similar climates where temperatures often climb over 35 degrees Celsius or 95 Fahrenheit in summer, I would advise to keep succulents in morning sun and afternoon shade. A side note, succulents will deal with a lot of heat as long as they are kept in shade. But once they get hit by direct sun and the heat combo, they can collapse quite fast. Ideally, succulents can be placed under 30% shade cloth during summer, which will bounce harmful UV rays off but still provide enough sun to keep the plants looking nice and compact. If you don't have a shade cloth, morning sun, afternoon shade will work well for most succulents. During the rest of the year, full sun will be fine in these climates unless there's an unexpected heat wave at the end of spring or beginning of autumn. In winter, you will get amazing colors when your succulents are exposed to both cold and full sun. Just keep in mind that most of these plants are not very frost tolerant, so having them outdoors in winter will only be possible in climates with mild winter weather. This means no snow and light frosts only. In more moderate climates, full sun should be fine all year round. It is, however, becoming more and more common for extreme heat to creep in during the summer months almost everywhere now. Because of global heating, you may need to move your succulents in afternoon shade during summer, even if they were previously fine in a full sun position. While most succulents grow better in the sun, some prefer filtered light or bright shade. Here's a list of most common genera of succulent plants that prefer bright shade rather than full sun. You can pause to read. And here's the most common genera of sun-loving succulents. There may be a few exceptions on both lists, and as we discussed earlier, many sun lovers tend to grow relatively well in bright shade outdoors. Though there may be some issues when it comes to how compact and colorful they are. Fungal disease such as rot or powdery mildew may also find it easier to attack sun lovers residing in shade. Sun lovers will very likely struggle in bright shade indoors. Some succulents from the shade lovers list may be toughened up to tolerate full sun, especially in moderate climates. They may become brown rather than green, but should be able to eventually survive all-day sun. Variegated succulents, even if they are a mutation of a plant that is a sun lover, may prefer a bright shade or filtered light. White or cream variegated plants can be especially prone to burning in direct hot sun. Yes, there is, though it involves the use of shade cloth. In my personal experience, most sun lovers and shade lovers will coexist together under 30 to 50% shade cloth. 30% is better for sun lovers, while 50% will be preferred by those that like shade more. In the height of summer, the shade lovers may become a bit stressed under 30% shade cloth, but they should grow fairly well nonetheless. Morning sun followed by afternoon shade may be acceptable for most succulents as well. I would, however, keep an eye on the shade lovers, as in summer the temperatures can spike quite early on and the sun may burn them before the afternoon shade comes around. On that note, it's time to wrap it up. I hope this video was useful, and if you have any questions or would like to add your own experience, you can do so in the comments below. To learn more about succulents, hit the subscribe button or go to succulentgrowingtips.com. Thank you very much for watching.